Three, two, one. Welcome to Jim's Take, another episode 145. Where has all the civility gone? That's what we're pondering today. It's like an old Joan Baez song. Instead of flowers, though, we're going into civility. I'm not going to sing it for you, don't worry. But it's a great song if you want to listen to it. Here's what I'm pondering this week. And it probably shouldn't come as a shock to you that there is a growing concern, at least in my view, of this massive decline in our ability to be civil in everyday life. Now, I'm not talking about civics. I'm not talking about all these other problems we got going on. I'm talking about civility, our manners, the way that we interact with other people, the way that we appreciate their perspectives, the way that we embrace differences, the way that we accommodate other people's perspectives, whatever it is, everything from online chat to the political systems to all of that. I want to explore that a little bit and how this actually applies to you and how you react and what implications this is going to have down the road. This is all conjecture a little bit, but I think it's an important thing to sit down and talk about considering the way the world is going. So let's do that today. Let's set the scene. So civility, manners. Now, I talked about this maybe 5 years ago on this podcast. In the middle of COVID, I did an episode, Why is Everyone So Freaking Angry? And I don't think I said freaking. I think I dropped the full F word in that one because everybody was so angry. I remember getting angry at spinach. And and I feel like it's progressed and it continues to progress. And I don't see really light at the end of this particular tunnel. But where is the constructive dialogue among people who have differing perspectives? And the question is, are we less civil than we used to be? And the answer is yes. I don't think many people would disagree with that. And it's not a new thing. It's been happening for a very long time for a number of different reasons. And I'm going to outline them. One, the political climate. Two, technological changes. Three, the levels of stress. I feel like people are looking for reasons to be angry. They're looking for reasons to be offended. They're looking for an outlet for their stress, which I'm going to get to in a minute, by putting other people down so that they can feel better about themselves. And I see this a lot in the workplace, which I'll get into. But often when people are stressed and when we take a look to our leaders and the examples that are set before us, when we are stressed, the easy way to respond to this, if we're incredibly insecure, not even insecure, I like to put an insecurity wrapper over it, is the easy way to respond to stress is to put other people down so you can feel better about yourself. In addition to that, we also have this innate desire and need to be right. Right? And when we talk about humility, we talk about vulnerability, we talk about all these things, empathy, all the words that are coming out. I don't think they really hit on the right type of, they just don't hit the right button. I don't think everybody needs to be empathic, maybe sympathetic, but we don't have to take on everyone's feelings. Humility, I think, is really misinterpreted by other people, where it's having a low view of yourself when in actuality we should be taking pride in our work and the stuff that we do. I think a lot of people misinterpret vulnerability. It's not about crying about the bad things that happened over the weekend. It's more about admitting that you might be wrong. And when we look at all of these different things, I feel like we're really missing the target because we're very quick to tell people what they're supposed to be, but we don't know how to internalize it and respond into a really civil type of discourse. And on top of that, one more layer, we are living in echo chambers where we are surrounding ourselves with people with like thoughts, and then it's us versus them. And when we're operating in this type of mode, and we'll go through each one, the real takeaway from this, I know we're only 4 minutes in, your world will continue to go on. So let me talk about the end at the beginning. The world will continue to go on, but we lie in the bed that we make. And we have a choice. As always, if you know me, you know this is in the way that we respond to the situations that are thrust upon us. And how we respond will dictate where we lie in the future. Now, I don't like the brand conversation and all of those types of things, but we're going to have to kind of accommodate that. Is you're going to be remembered by the people closest to you about how you respond to the situations that have come about, and the way that you handle difficult situations and difficult conversations and those types of things. And many people don't like to sit and think about what other people are seeing when they look at us. But recognize that you're always being watched. And if we wanted to think about this branding conversation, do you want to be known as someone who's always so right, even though you're wrong? People are judging you constantly. Or do you want to be known as a person who can facilitate the best in other people? Pick whichever one you want. I don't care. That's up to you. You do whatever you want to do. Free country, free world. You know what I mean? So what's causing all of this lack of civility? Let's start with the easy one. The easy one is politics. Partisan hostility, negative political rhetoric. The debates have gone away from the objective of making the country better and more attacking opponents. Social media political fights. Everybody's an expert, apparently, in all aspects of geopolitical debate, domestic political debate, all of these types of things. I'll tell you right now, if you're a Democrat, you're listening to this, and you're like, yep, blame Trump. If you're a Republican listening to this, you're like, yep, blame the Democrats. and it goes. And we've normalized this kind of rudeness, polarization. It's good for business in the political world. It's very good for business because we've got us versus them. And people align, it's amazing with politics, is they've aligned it as part of their identity. And they have to defend part of their identity. So if you're not on your side of the political fence, then you're going to be putting down the other side. And when politics becomes performative conflict, not productive, you could argue it becomes challenging for our communities, right? It becomes just not even just not productive, it just becomes actively unproductive, right? Nothing's getting done. I've got stats. 85% of U.S. adults say the tone and nature of political debate in the U.S. has become more negative in recent years. For Pew Research, of course. 88% of Americans believe incivility in politics is a serious problem, of course. And the quote from that one, Georgetown, people feel that incivility prevents us from solving the country's problems. We are so quick to judge others. And again, when we are stressed, we put others down and we make assumptions and judgments so that we can be right? We have this need to be right. And I would argue we have this need to be right because everything else is so out of control that we're pushing for something to just satisfy this need. But it doesn't really it gives a little tiny scratch to the itch, but it doesn't fix the problem. It doesn't fix your problems. It doesn't fix the chaos that's all around you, right? It's like this cheap knockoff, buy it on Amazon thing that's not really going to last and it's not really going to work. And it's much like, like an alcoholic sitting there drinking to solve their problems. Their problems are still going to be there in the morning. And by putting other people down and acting so lack of civility with lack of uncivilly, however you want to say it, I don't even know what the right words are. It's not going to change your situation. Right? It only, I would argue, makes it worse because you're discounting the relationships that can make your life meaningful. So that's one. Politics is easy. That's table stakes, of course. Everybody would have said, of course, it's the Democrats, the Republicans, whoever it is. Next, we're going to go into technology. Here's what's interesting. A few years ago, I read an article about this rise of the robots and how our ability to have understanding of other humans was going away because there's no consequence back. When you talk to AI, you talk to a robot or anything else. And so easily when we talk about technology, we talk about the negativity of social media, sure. We have algorithms that reward extreme opinions. People say things online or type things online they would never say face to face, right? You people are spineless. And we put ourselves in front of these screens and it takes away any kind of nuanced conversation. It's like the argument for bringing people back into the office. One of the benefits of that is you get so much more from other people when you can read their body language, you see their facial expressions, you see what's not being said by the other people in the room. You're picking up all of these social cues that we just lose when we're talking to AI. We're talking to I won't say the names of them, because it might trigger your phone or your little speaker thing, but the Amazons and the Apples and the Googles and I just did one, sorry. And so that drives, without the nuance, it drives things like the cancel culture, which gets crazy, the comment section hostility, which gets crazy, the dismissiveness that we have of other people. When we correlate this lack of social cues with reduced self-restraint, because your computer's not going to punch you in the face. Also with this perceived rudeness, right? We read things in our own voice. When we're stressed and we're angry, we're looking to be angry. We're finding lack of civility when it's just not there. So it snowballs into this incredibly negative effect. So you've got politics on the TV, and the news headlines and all that craziness. You've got technology that doesn't hold people accountable for the civility that's really necessary. So, while we get a lot of benefits from technology, compound that. And then 3, throw the stress and chaos on top of it. You can't pay your bills. You can't buy a house. You can't do this. Who knows what your kids are doing? This is not, I won't even go into this, but we've got this, this constant level of stress that we are operating under. See the previous 2 examples, politics and social, definitely impact that. But when we're maxed out, am I going to have a job? Am I going to have a home? Where do I live? What do I do? What are my kids texting? What's this? Blah, 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 blah. I can't believe the politician said this. What leak is this? And is it even real? I don't even know what's real anymore. When we get maxed out on this chaotic type of stress, civility becomes the first casualty. Because now we have to protect ourselves, because everything's so out of control, that everyone else becomes irrelevant. And we're bringing that to home. We're bringing that to work. We're losing productivity. We're doing all this other kind of stuff. So how do we reclaim it, right? So we've got these challenges. We exist in all of these types of things. And if I'm going to make a recommendation, a book recommendation, right, I would do one of the old Stoic books on anxiety, like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I'm reading that again. It's such a phenomenal, it just hits different when you're in your 40s. But we're taking, small steps in terms of being active participants in driving civility around us. I said before at the beginning, it's going to be part of your brand. Do you want to be the person who can't have a conversation with a stranger? Or do you want to be the person who actually drives civility among your friends? And we do this by example. We don't do this by correcting people, but we must interact in person, and we must interact with people who have different perspectives than us. It's a muscle that we must exercise. Okay? One of my core, there are 3 components to social interaction in my mind. Your support system, which we've got. You've got your micro interactions, your librarian, your bus driver, we're part of a bigger world. And then you've got your newbies. We need new perspectives to challenge what we believe. And we need to ask ourselves and the people around us honest questions. And these honest questions are requests for information where we do not know the answer. We have no assumptions. We have no judgments. We're not thrusting our opinions on other people and forcing them to be defensive right back, which forces us to be defensive. And we're very aggressive in the way that we're interacting with other people. And what I would say to this also is, don't wait for somebody else to be the example. There's a great Marcus Aurelius quote. I can't believe I just referenced him twice in one podcast. Sorry about that. Stop arguing what a man should be and be one. Right? Everyone's so quick to tell everybody else what they're doing wrong, but they won't look in the mirror at themselves. And civility starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with creating this objective environment around what are we looking to accomplish or discuss together, and how can we do that? And there's many different ways to do that. We see it in the office all the time. I see it in the office all the time. I remember when I was in corporate, I do a lot of this work now. Finding the best executives or the best people in an office who could facilitate through discord or stress are able to facilitate a discussion, focus on the objective problem in front of us, and welcomes other people's opinions. They bring both people across the table. They ask honest questions. There are no assumptions, respect for different opinions. And they recognize that what they believe is not a truth. Beliefs cannot be truths. It's impossible, right? We believe something to be true, but it is not definitely a truth. It's a belief. They cannot be the same. We cannot know something and believe something at the same time. By definition, they are 2 very different things. And you always know the people who are really stressed out at work, because if you sit in your team meeting and they say, Jim, can this be done? I'm like, no, it's a stupid idea. They put down an idea to raise themselves up when in actuality it probably is a good idea, and they just have to do a little bit of extra work to make it happen. The really good people, the people getting promotions, to say, let me take a look at how this might work. Or maybe that would work. Here are some things that we have to think about, right? And they add on top of this objective kind of opportunity, challenge, whatever it is that's in front of us. Where we live, and this is how I'll recap it because we're at 15 minutes, right? I try to keep these short. I don't like to just complain, but I think if you were to sit and reflect on where we're getting our information, what's our information diet, right? And how are we getting angry and triggered by all this kind of stupid stuff? And it's the Republicans are already triggered by what the Democrats might do. The Democrats are triggered daily by what comes out of the White House. Everyone gets triggered and angry about everything because everybody's a freaking idiot. Because they're making judgmental comments about something that's completely irrelevant. And so it's very quick to make assumptions and judgments about other people, right? And we have to put a layer or a wrap of some kind of compassion around this to other people to say that they're under complete and massive levels of stress. When you notice that civility is missing, and if you were to reflect on this, and where we're getting our information diet, where we're spending all of our time, where are we able to bring civility back, right? Where you keep everything surface level and you don't have to go so deep and there's no judgment, no assumptions. There's all kinds of stuff. And maybe it's reading meditations again that's bringing me back to it. Maybe it was the ayahuasca, right? When I was, tripping in the woods. One of my lessons was living above where the demons are, right? And you float above it and you do all that because they don't have access when you live at this elevated type of place. And it's the same with civility, right? Don't get dragged down in the nonsense, and you will be rewarded. I believe that in a very good play the long game on this one, right? Civility pays dividends down the road, right? Stop having such a short-term freaking 3-minute focus on TikTok and think about what's coming next. 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road. The people that are around you right now are going to be around in 10, 15, 20 years, more than likely. Right? These are relationships that you can draw on. We need to build relationship equity. We need to build whatever it is that we have to build that we can draw on later. And these people are going to come from all walks of life. And civility will pay dividends. So where we live and allow ourselves to be influences our responses to others. So get your manners back. Have a good week. Smile. And take a deep breath, right? I love you all. Have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you soon.